So my creativity journey really took off in the Lord when I remembered saying yes to an opportunity to be a part of serving folks. Actually, really filling a need that I had. So I had grown up with being the son of an English teacher, and I went off to school to be an English teacher. So I had that background coming into life in the church, and so I naturally served in kids ministry. And at the church that I was a part of, Torch Church, we had this experience where there was only one service, and one week you'd be in the service enjoying it, and the other week you'd actually be in the kids ministry. And we did series. We did, 1 week we'd be talking about this topic, and then the next week we'd be continuing in that topic and a different element of that, And if I was serving, I was missing that. So I was relying on the audio podcast. And I remembered that there were weeks where sometimes, for whatever was happening, that podcast was not able to get released, did not come out. So I would be wondering what would happen. So I remembered one Sunday we were in so that church was one where we would set up and tear down each and every week. And we were out back, packing everything up into the trailer. And I saw the pastor. I'm like, hey, Pastor Carter, shout out Pastor Carter. What's going on with this podcast? I'm serving and I'm not able to hear it, And then he said the beautiful things. He invited me in. He didn't just solve the problem. He invited me into the solution. He said, would you like to help? And I didn't know anything about doing that, but I was like, you know what? This would meet my need, and I think it'd be cool to serve in other areas. So I said yes. And that began the journey that we're going to talk about more today on the Ordered Chaos Club podcast. I remember growing up, we were always making music. Actually, this keyboard that I have back here, I don't know if you can really see it. Yeah. Well, that was one that my grandmother had given us as we were kids growing up because we just enjoyed doing things creatively so much. But there was so much baked into it that was serving me and my own joy as a young kid. And that's not like inherently wrong. But I do know that there were things inherently wrong with my experience where I really felt like I was struggling with feeling loved. I was struggling with not knowing, my purpose. And there was a divorce, with my parents. And there were so many things in my identity that I really just felt like were broken. And I was searching for love. And I ended up really just becoming a performer. And I was always a little bit of a, jokester or whatever, but I leaned into that heavily as a way to really try and get people to love me. So much of my creative expression, so much of the way that I leaned into creativity was serving me as I was searching for love. And there was places where I was learning new tools. Like I started taking more art classes. I joined a radio and TV class. Shout out Mr. Tufty. Man, that radio and TV class in high school was really great for me, and it really got me thinking about creativity in some new kind of ways there. And then I remember in high school taking a speech class and really believing, or not so much believing, but like really looking to try and put a smile on people's face. And I can say that was for them. That was really because I wanted to feel loved. And if I made them smile, that was pleasing me because it would make me feel loved, right? But I did this interpretive kind of like storytelling class, and it was fun. It was a joy to travel around to different schools and be leaning into things like that. But then I remember as this was all trying to feed me, like there's this wicked thing that can continue to evolve when you're just trying to like feed yourself, when you're trying to get your own love needs met versus allowing those needs to be met. There's a difference for like chasing down love and allowing and receiving love. So I eventually ended up doing a whole lot of things that I wouldn't have naturally done. I grew up in the church. I grew up at an all black United Methodist church on the south side of Chicago, and they preached the Bible, and we would do church, but I never really had that experience, that relationship walking with Jesus. And so I didn't know who I was. I didn't know my identity. And I would continue to go about life pursuing so many different things that weren't healthy for me, and mainly to try and get love. So I remember, really getting into drinking in college, and then later after college, started getting into marijuana, and all of these things were just masking this brokenness within me. And then there was womanizing and so many things that I'm not proud of. And all the while, I was still leaning in to creativity and still, telling stories. I was a, natural storyteller growing up, because simply that I just wanted to see people's eyes light up when I hit a point in a story and all that sort of stuff. But you guys, all while hiding under all of this wickedness, there was still this creative beast, really looking to find righteous direction. And then Jesus interrupted the story. He entered in, he broke down some walls that I'd really had around my heart that were ultimately part of the reason why I wasn't receiving love. It was because I had been hurt, and I just didn't know how to let people truly see me anymore. And if you're really truly looking to truly receive love, you can only do that when you know you are being you, because when people are loving what they're seeing, if it's real or not, right? And I think subconsciously knew any love that I was getting, quote unquote love that I was getting, wasn't for me. It was for the mask. It was for the persona. It was for the one I was displaying to them right then. So it was a very fleeting experience. But when Jesus interrupted, I was at the lowest point in my life. I had been let go from my second job in 4 years. I had been experiencing so much just depression. I don't know any other way to put it. And I was drinking, I was smoking, I was doing so many different things. And then I let him in. He broke down my walls. And at that point, I didn't know what life was going to look like when I gave my life over to him. But I knew I had already tried for 30 years, and now it's time to try something different. Now it's time to let Jesus truly take control of my life. And so at that point, I didn't really know what to do, but I knew I needed to get back in the church. I needed to get back to this sense of being a part of another story, not a story that I'm writing, but a story that he was. And so I started going back to the church on the south side, started serving as youth Sunday school teacher there, and then brought me to the place where we began our conversation, where I was at church at the time and leaning into teaching. But that conversation I had with Pastor Carter as we were loading out, like unpacking the church, because it was a mobile church that we're setting up in a theater each and every Sunday. And so we were out back, and that was that pivotal moment where I brought a concern and he responded with an opportunity. And I said yes. And I think that's the big thing that I want people to walk away with in this time here today is you got to understand that the ways that God wants to use you, the ways that God has designed you, he's not going to force you down any certain journey. He's not going to force you to live out a certain calling. What he's going to do is he's going to invite you. It's simply opportunities. And you get to decide whether or not you're going to accept those opportunities or whether or not you're going to reject them, right? And those invitations, those opportunities, all you have to do is say yes. Now, I'm not going to tell you that you need to say yes to every opportunity that's brought to you, but when you can discern that this potentially could be the Lord, I would encourage you. If fear is a reason you're saying no, nope, you choose yes. If it is anything that is a hesitation in your spirit in regards to is this something that I don't know enough about, or these insecurities, any of those things that even smell like fear, just say yes. And it doesn't mean it has to be like a yes forever, right? I'm not encouraging anybody into making lifetime commitments that you're not sure about. But there's so many places where had I not said yes, I would be so different. And I really appreciate who I've become through the Lord and the life that he's given me right now. And that's the thing that I want to lean more and more into, is my gratitude for my today. But my today is only possible because of the yeses of my yesterday. Ooh. Say yes in your yesterday, and you will actually enjoy your today. So I want to encourage you, think about the different places in your life where there's a creative possibility. What is the reason to say no to that? And think about all the many reasons that you could say yes. Let me give you some practical examples as I continue throughout my story. So it began with me saying yes to doing the podcasting. Let me take a drink here. My throat is quite dry. But then right after starting with the audio podcasting, then I needed to learn how to upload those into the website. So I began to learn websites. And now you guys, well, I'll save that. So I then started to learn websites and how to, navigate those, and using WordPress and that sort of thing. And then that moved on to actually helping a little bit with web design and getting connected with the people that we were paying a lot of money to design those for. And I was able to ultimately take over a lot of those responsibilities. And then he handed me a camera and was like, hey, what do you think about us starting to do video? And I'm like, hey, let's go. So me, Jesus, and Google learned video. And now you see where we are today. And then beyond that, I was able to raise up a team of people. Then we started doing church online, and was able to do online chat hosting and open up prayer rooms and all those sort of things. And then I continued on the leadership development journey, and then ultimately got ordained as a pastor there. And then began to preach on Sunday mornings. And it was in that Sunday morning preaching experience where I would really start to hone crafts of storytelling and understanding how to relate to people and to be expressing, God's love towards felt needs that folks have. And you guys, each one of these was simply God presenting an opportunity, an invitation, and me deciding, would I say yes? Would I say yes? And you guys, I'm going to tell you this. At every point, the next step felt a little scary, because there is this big empty void of knowledge about what's to come. Like, I do have certain past experience, but if I was only doing the next step based on, do I understand this already? I would not have even stepped into audio. I would not have stepped into the website, because what I already knew, though it maybe felt related, it was not enough to give me the confidence that I could do something new. And so what it really became was me just deciding, maybe, what if? And I wonder, what would our lives be like if we actually leaned into more opportunities to just simply answer the what ifs with maybe God will, right? Right? So faith is really about, like, what would happen if I believe that God could move in this way? And I'll tell you, today, all of these things have really stacked. And now I get the opportunity to use the audio, editing experience. I created an album as I've leaned into that. Started on Audacity, a free audio editing software, and then evolved, GarageBand, and then, Logic Pro and Pro Tools and Fruity Loops and Machine and so many different things that began with that first yes. And now the same thing is true with the website. Now, not only did I start working on the website there, but then I started creating my own websites, and now I actually get paid to help other folks with their websites. And I do that for different ministries and people that I know are really trying to do great work, even small businesses, for people in the area. If you want more of those services, you can go to freedomstorymedia.com and check that out. But that was all part of starting with that first yes for the website development for the church. And then video. Need I say more? I'm working on a documentary, working with an editor as I, have done editing of my own, and so many different things that have come on top of that. And then the beginning of the preaching. And I'm not going to say I'm some sort of amazing preacher, but now I've understood how to look at a text and pull out what it is that is being said there and put that together in a way that can really connect with and impact people, weaving together the truth of God's word, the truth of my experience, and pointing it to ways that people can apply it. And that's where I'm going to bring us to today. You have your own story. You have your own creative journey. There's places that God has prepared for you, right? Oh my gosh. Let me get to Ephesians. I got it right here. Ephesians is reminding us of this really, really clear truth about the places that God has prepared for us. Ephesians 2:10. For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. God, the ultimate creator, the King of Kings, the master creative one, he created you as his masterpiece, right? And he created good works for you to do. But he's not going to force your hand. You are his handiwork, but he won't make you do the work with your hands. He's going to invite you. Simply asking the question, will you believe? Will you trust? Will you have faith? Will you take a chance on the what if I say yes to this? And I'll tell you, though you can get yourself into places where maybe you're saying yes to too many things, understand this. Every yes you make is also saying no to some other things. So walk through this journey with discernment, looking at what is the opportunity cost for every yes that I have, because that means there's a no that I'm also going to have to give. But you always want to give your best yes to the Lord. There's plenty of other things you can say no to, but when you believe it could be something that God would want to use, I would encourage you, just give it a try. Just give it a try and find out, what if this is a way that God wanted to use me? Maybe the way that God is writing my story is going to involve this next tool, this next thing that I learn. And it's all a learning journey, you guys. We learn, we stack skills, we explore our giftings. And there's giftings that you probably have right now that you haven't tapped into because there's opportunities that you haven't said yes to. So not to get overly repetitive, today I just want to leave you guys with this. Say yes more than you say no, and you will find that there's more places that God is wanting to lead you and more places that God will allow you to go. That kind of rhymed. So hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I'm excited that the next episode is going to be a ensemble conversation with me and at least a few others, where we're going to be talking about storytelling as well. I'll draw out of them a little bit of their stories. We're going to have some fun in the conversation as well. So if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you follow it if you're listening or watching on Spotify, and leave us a rating over there as well. The more ratings that we get, that allows more folks to find it, because that continues, the algorithm works. It likes to show people stuff that other other people have enjoyed. And to that end, make sure you like this video and leave comments on it as well, because that also improves this ability for this thing to be shown to more and more people. And if you're somebody who is, right now processing even what your creative calling is, reach out to me. I'd love to be having conversations with you about that and helping you to explore that and lean into that. And there's no better place to even go through that journey than to go with a community. So I'd invite you, especially if you're someone who is really thinking that there are challenges, there's mindset issues that you need to overcome, especially as it relates to your faith or your creative work. Get on in the Ordered Chaos Club. You'll be able to subscribe to get applied to that over at the orderedchaosclub.com website. And if you go to orderedchaosclub.com/application, you can go ahead and apply now, and you'll be invited into that. And that'll be like $17.50 a month if you get in right now during our founders cohort till the end of 2024, or until we reach our cap. I think we have about 19 spots available left. And then make sure that you share this with somebody. I believe that there's somebody right now that could really be blessed by this conversation. So hopefully we see you in the community, and hopefully we see you back here on the next episode. Having said all that, be blessed, be a blessing, and keep creating for God's glory. Peace.